Hi, Amanda.
Good morning. Trying to mute myself
Good,
before you present today.
good morning. I'm Rodney, is my technical support help.
Oh, yeah. I just got out the last presentation and I thought everyone would be muted when we entered and they weren't. So eh,
How is it going?
good, good, good. I
What's
was actually wanting to reach out to you, just give you an update on something, but I'll follow up. I'll email
all
you.
right.
Okay. Nice to see you. And I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation.
All right. Uh, good morning, Nathan.
Hi, good morning.
It's kind of nice, one of the good things about doing virtual because you can catch each person as they're walking into the room.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there's no back seat. Yeah.
Everybody's in the front row.
Everybody's in the
Love
front row, and I got you. I have my eyes on you, Nathan. Tell me a little bit. Tell me about yourself.
it. Certainly. You can't see me now.
It sounds
Uh,
like
certainly. So I'm from Oracle, and I manage a few accounts in the Western United States, Presbyterian being one of them. So
oh
I'm anxious to hear more about your presentation today and
thank you for joining.
more about healthcare IT.
All right, and is UNM an account of yours too, or no? Just Presbyterian.
No, just Presbyterian at this time.
All right. Where's your office?
Currently, I'm in Bend, Oregon.
Okay.
So I bounce back and forth between Sacramento, California, and Bend, Oregon.
I used to work for Sutter Health.
Oh, did you really?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Do you know anybody there? You worked with Sutter Health folks?
So my experience dates back to my GE healthcare days.
Oh,
So
okay. IDX.
yeah. So I used to work for GE healthcare and
Uh-huh.
I didn't really work with a whole lot of folks from Sutter, but I did work with some folks at Loveless and Kaiser and a few others.
Is Loveless also in Sacramento? I didn't know that.
No, not in Sacramento, but New Mexico.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since you said Sacramento, California, right?
Correct. That's where I was
Okay.
residing. Yeah.
So
So a lot of
yeah. So you're familiar with Sutter Health.
yes, very as a consumer.
Okay. How about Hill Physicians?
Hill Physicians as well.
Oh, really? I used to work.
They're in San Ramon.
Yes,
Right?
sir. Bishop Ranch. Yeah, I used to work for them too. I work for if I had to work for uh, work for them before I went to Sutter Health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hill Physicians Medical Group. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Good people.
Are they still around?
Oh yeah. They're still around. They're doing very well. The CEO and the COO, who's the founders of Hill Physicians, or it's also called Primed.
Yeah, Primed.
They retired and moved, and someone else took the reins, and I think it's doing very well.
It's funny. My before GE, I spent a number of years in telecom, and Hill Physicians Primed was one of my very first accounts.
Okay.
In sales, probably about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I ended up having them as my provider for a while.
Okay. Yeah. They're good. The physicians are great.
Now, where are you based out of, Roy?
I am out of Albuquerque.
Okay.
And then so I work for UNM Health Sciences Center.
Okay.
Fairly new to the area. I just moved here in July. Good morning, John. John, I think you're muted.
Is that working?
Yeah, that's fine. Good morning, sir. I was telling Nathan, there's no back seat in a virtual conference. Everybody's up front and personal, without getting into politics, have we found the president yet?
Yeah, nothing I'm aware of.
Not yet. All right.
That looks like it's going to drag on for a bit, huh?
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. John, where are you from?
I grew up here
Oh,
in the North Valley.
okay. All right. Whereabouts do you live then?
Right now right by San Antonio and Louisiana. So
Okay. What's your favorite restaurant?
besides,
I know it's probably not open, but I'm making it.
I really like Casino School, although it seems like they've been putting more and more salt in their food. I love
Want to
their
sell more
chili.
drink?
Yeah, their chili is good.
Okay. I went to the sawmill last week.
Oh, is it?
Sawmill market. A little bit on the pricey side, but I like because an ice cream cone cost me $7 or $8. I have a hard time, buying an ice cream cone that I can buy at McDonald's for 99 cents.
It better be some good ice cream.
It wasn't as good as McDonald's anyhow. But the same. I kind of lived in Brooklyn for a while. They had the same setup in Brooklyn, but they had more different kind of food in Brooklyn, more different food from different countries, so it made it a little bit more eccentric. But it's a good place to hang out and listen to the music, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Have you been to that container place on Alameda?
No, you know where I went?
Tin Can Alley. They've some different types of food.
Yeah.
I think they have like a Colombian restaurant, maybe.
Oh yeah, is that the same place? Is that hotel? There's a great place called Hotel. I don't know. See if I can find the name. It's on 66 Route 66.
Oh no! This is on Alameda Boulevard, San Pedro, basically.
Oh, it's called El Vado Motel. It's also a great place.
I haven't been yet.
Yeah.
So boy, let me make sure I've got your last name pronunciation right. Tell me.
So I'll help you out. It's if you think of cuckoo, it's suku.
So pretty much like it's spelled. That's
yeah, suku. My kids kind of run for student office, and so they kind of play on that name, Super Souk Dude.
I've got one that people struggle with too. So
let me try it. Mirzawa. Where is that from?
That's
Mirzawa. Oh, Mirzawa. Yeah. And then we have Lisa. Good morning, Lisa.
Morning.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you guys today?
Well, we're waiting for our meeting hasn't officially started yet, and it's maybe a small group. So we'll just make it very informal, personal. So where are you from, Lisa?
I'm at New Mexico Tech. I'm with the New Mexico Cybersecurity Center of Excellence.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know what New Mexico Tech is. Is that the
New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology in Socorro, the university.
Okay. What do you do for them? Cybersecurity, obviously, huh?
So the governor established the cybersecurity, 4 different centers of excellence throughout the state. We were awarded the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, and I'm the coordinator.
What are some projects? What are some projects you're working on, or big initiatives?
So we just recently partnered with New Mexico Economic Development Department, and with that specific project, it's the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC.
Yeah.
Guidelines. Yeah. So we're working with them directly to help businesses within the state achieve that CMMC certification. That's
a steep climb, Lisa. You're asking a lot. I mean, to be on a maturity 3 or 4 is tough. I mean, I can't imagine 4. 3 is brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get on 1, if you get on 1, that's a great initiative, though. Why CMMC?
That's just one of the projects that we're working on with them. We have a really a very broad scope of technology within the state. And so us being the center of excellence, we figured that this was a really good fit for us.
Yeah, it's also, I think the DoD is requiring it now, right? If you want to get into contract with them, right?
Yes, and very specifically, I mean, they're rolling out. I mean, I think implementation is going to vary based on dates, that type of thing. But I know they've had some interim rulings that have come down starting in November. Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge. That's definitely.
It's a steep climb, and it's a steep climb. Plus, getting the right resource is gonna be tough. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't stick with NIST.
Yeah.
All right. I think folks are getting out of our last meeting, and they're kind of filing in a little bit. So we'll give folks a few more minutes to join. So this is very informal. It's more of a storytelling session, more than we're going to talk about hardcore CMMC stuff. So Lisa, I don't want you to be disappointed.
No problem. My background is in healthcare, so.
Okay, so this is more storytelling, and this is more block and tackle. So open dialogue. I hope you can unmute yourself and just ask questions during the presentation. The presentation is short, so a lot of time for conversation and dialogue. I was hoping to. I don't recognize anybody on here, except for Laura Day is here. Laura Day is a good friend of mine and colleague, and I think Laura will check the chat. So if you don't want to speak up, and I hope you do, but if you feel like you need to put something in the chat, Laura, Miss Day will read the chat for me, and then we'll go from there. Is that okay, Laura? Laura, Laura, you're muted if you're speaking. And Mike.
Good morning, Roy. This is Victor Gonzalez. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Victor. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Great. Thank you for hosting this session.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for joining. We're giving a few people a little time to join us, and then we'll kick it off. I think. Let's see.
It's getting about that time, Roy.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, let's begin. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen, and here I go.
And let me just introduce you, Roy, if I might, for a second. I'm John Mears. I'm the moderator in this room. Just I'm interested in seeing everything that Roy has to say as well. But welcome to the experienceIT Cyber Attacks in Healthcare session. We look forward to hearing from you, Roy. Roy's the Chief Information Officer at UNM Health Sciences Center. So take it away, Roy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the introduction, John. Appreciate that very much. So I'm going to share my screen. So can you give me a thumbs up, John, if you can see my screen in presentation mode? Perfect. All right. Good morning, everyone. As John said, I'm Roy Suku. I'm the Chief Information Officer for University of New Mexico Health Sciences Center, and I've been here in New Mexico since July 1st. That was my first day on the job, but I've been in healthcare IT for many years. Started out in California and make the trek. Well, a quick story. I started in California. We have 4 children. And when the last children graduated from high school, my wife and I sold the house, left no forwarding address. and moved to New Orleans, Louisiana to work for Ashner. And then when we think our kids got caught up with us, we moved to Brooklyn, New York, and then we moved to Pennsylvania, and now here. So a little bit about myself. My wife and I we have 4 children. So anyhow, a little bit about HSC. You know, we serve a very diverse population, which is exciting for me. Coming from Brooklyn, it's also the same there. And you know, our value proposition is that we want to provide, you know, good access to quality care, cutting edge care to all of you New Mexicans. And also we want to bring innovation with it. Some data points about HSC. In 2019, we have a little over 2,000 enrolled students. We have 40 plus degree and residency programs, and the first BS in pop health in the U.S. We are a big research center. We awarded over 190 million in FY19. We continue to pursue research. That's a big initiative for us. And we have a big research center here at UNM. On the healthcare side, we serve over 900,000 patients each year. We are the only level 1 trauma center in the state. And we have this unique program called Project Echo. Some of you may have already seen in some presentation in there. Project Echo, what they do, they democratize information to clinicians. The idea is to push information out for clinicians and providers to deliver quality care to their patients. And it's a global program. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, they were awarded $250 million to help with the COVID around nursing homes. Now, about my presentation, I want to talk a little about ransom. As you all know, ransom is nothing new. It's been around for thousands of years. Today, it's gotten a little bit more sophisticated. We're using better tools, Bitcoins, you know, and it's less face-to-face than it was, you know, 100 years ago. There are 2 motivating factors for ransom. One is financial, and one is espionage. And ransomware, as I think about it, you know, scan the gamut from, you know, hacktivists, where someone hack you because they don't like your belief, your philosophy, they don't like what you stand for, or all the way down to the other spectrum, where is nation state, where nations sponsor, you know, cyber attacks, and anywhere between, from the guy in the basement to the hoodie on, trying to get into, you know, grandma's recipe or grandma's account, all the way up to between that spectrum, where you can even buy ransomware as a service. It's a big business now, where, you know, folks are buying ransomware as a service and spin up their own business model around ransomware. Cyber attack in healthcare, you know, it's a big deal. We have about, you know, 4,000 daily ransomware attacks on organizations across the globe, millions of daily hits on our firewalls per organization. In 2019, we have over 41 million records breached, and we expect that to get higher. They're predicting, you know, in the next 5 years, from 2020 to 25, to reach $125 billion. The cyber market is growing, so you can see why, right? The money is there. Healthcare, interesting enough, is 2 to 3 times more cyber attacks than the financial services. So you think the hacker goes to where the money is at, but they feel that the money and the benefit is in healthcare. Just some recent data that you might be interested in. Since last quarter, the impact of ransomware, you know, increased by, you know, to 4%. from first quarter, almost doubled. So it's a big business. It's out there. You know, last week we heard about the Ryuk Russian gang. They are out there. They want to attack healthcare. They made it very clear that they want to go after hospitals and clinics and healthcare centers. In fact, they even push it a number. The FBI, CISA, and HSE alert us that they're out there and we should take precaution to protect ourselves. Obviously, they know where it hurts in healthcare, and they're coming after healthcare. The director of CISA last week said that the Rook ransomware is here. We ought to work on the premise that they're inside our house already. They're here, and that we need executives and business leaders need to be ready to execute the business continuity and the disaster recovery plan. And security folks need to start taking patching and multi-factor authentication, being proactive, you know, very seriously, looking at our backup. We all know that Rook is a sophisticated ransomware. It encrypts our devices, our files, and then we are left helpless if you don't have external backups. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Yeah. Any questions so far? Any question on the Rook? Ransomware has been in the news in the past couple of days. Why healthcare? You know, I mean, it's obvious, right? Maybe not. It's a very profitable business. The data is valuable in the marketplace. If you go on the dark web, you know, you can buy a record from anywhere from $3 to $5 per record. So if you have 1 million records, you can see how the numbers add up quickly. The data really impact operations. You know, we need data. We need the data to continue. Without the data, we're dead. We're dead in our tracks, right? We need the data to take care of our patients. And so without the data, operations is just constipated. Healthcare is the second. Healthcare data is next to Social Security numbers. Very, very, very important. Very folks need it for a lot of different reasons, right? And I don't want to speculate on why people need it, but you know, our identity is locked up in it. Sometimes they go after celebrities and high-profile folks for their data. In 2019, more than 25 million records were affected. Stakes are high, obviously. It's between life and death. If you lock up an MRI machine with a patient in there, you have no choice but to, start working with the FBI. And if a patient is on a lifeline and ICU, those devices are critical to life. And so these bad actors know that, and we're vulnerable there. You know, we can't swap out a ventilator quickly, right? We can hurt someone. And also healthcare, you know, it's not true as much, but we lack in security measures. We have a larger surface area than other industry. We have more endpoints. We have different devices, medical devices everywhere. And so, so if someone gets into our system, they can pivot left and they have access to many more things. So that's another reason why healthcare. It's an easy target and we're vulnerable. So what do we do, right? What do we do if we are in the security business and we're an executive in the healthcare industry? What do we do? And we know that it's expensive. We just talked about it. It's going to be a $25 billion industry by 2025. What do we do about it? Well, we can't rely on one technology. We have to have, it's a multi-level protection. Pretend or imagine living in a gated community or in a palace. That's where we live. And you think about that, and we think about the different protection we have, right? First of all, we need to patch our systems. Sometimes we don't take that very seriously, but we want to make sure that no holes no security breaches, right? So if you live in a gated community, you want to make sure there are no holes in the fences so people can get in. You want to patch them all up. Um, Very important. So I would recommend having KPIs. A good KPI would be, nothing less than 97% of all systems are patched. Our devices need to be encrypted, right? Devices are lost and stolen. If it's lost and stolen and it's encrypted, it's a different playing field if it's not. So encrypt the device, all devices. Malware, we need to have malware to protect us, both behavioral and both transactional. Monitoring is critical, right? If you live in a castle, you want to have a monitoring system. You want to see what's changing, what's any deviation from the norm. As the director of CIAC said, always assume that they're already in your system. So monitor. Zero trust network. We always believe before, when I started in IT, we trust the perimeter of our network and we trust the users within our network. We trust the users and the devices within our network. Since 2003, 2005, we are looking at a zero trust network where we do not trust the perimeter, where users are not trustworthy anymore. And in the old system, we would follow the mantra of President Reagan, trust but verify. We're not able to verify. So now we go to a zero trust network. And what that means is three things really. First, that no users, no devices are trusted, right? Second, we need to have multi-factor authentication. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And third, we need to have segmentation. So think of segmentation as if someone break into your house, they break into the garage, well, and you have a bolt in the garage door into the house that you contain them, so they're contained. And segmentation in the bottom right here allows us to limit or any kind of breach that we may have within our network system. Very important. Phishing campaign, phishing, that's where most of the attacks come from, is phishing. So phishing awareness to our users, to ourselves, important. We talked about multi-factor authentication. Passwords used to be important, still is important, but one level more. We need to have a second factor authentication, especially in your bank accounts and things that are important. And we'll talk a little bit more about multi-factor authentication. You keep track on time. Offsite backup. I tell you, so many people back up and they never test recovery, and it's never offsite. So we back it up in our system. So when our machine is compromised, the backup is also compromised. Or if you have access to the backup from your compromised system, then the bad actors, when they compromise your system, also have access to your backup. So it's really important that our backup is detached from our current system, is offline. It can be in the cloud, it can be an external drive, just offsite. And then we need to have insurance. It's really important that, and here's an area where many organizations are weak in insurance. Good insurance policy is important. Yeah. So as an organization, these are the areas I would recommend we focus on. One is not more important than the other. They're all together, working together in concert. Will protect our castle, will protect our organizations, will protect our homes, will protect our laptops. Questions, comments? Anybody has any comments on that? Any experiences you want to share? Anything in the chat? All right, carry on then. Now, technology is a double-edged sword. Sometimes you think, what, if we go out and get AI, machine language, we can protect ourselves. Here is a brutal truth. The bad actors also have access to technology. They have access to technology, and many times they have a better budget than we do to buy better technology. So sometimes technology is not really our only resource to protect ourselves. Our people are. And I really believe that our people are the last defense. And they're what I call human firewalls. We really need to talk to our folks. They need to be part of the solution. It cannot be IT, it cannot be security or folks. And as a CIO, this is where I spend my time. That as a CIO, I prefer that my users pull me for information rather than me pushing down security protocols onto them. And so how do we do that? How do we get our users engaged so they don't click on a link? You know, all it takes is one link, click on one link, and the bad actors can navigate, escalate privileges, and they're in our network, and they can cause havoc. So it's an area we really need to focus on, and you know, we need to think about this and how we approach this in our organizations. So you're a target. What do they want from you? They want your username and password. Simple as that. They don't want anything else, just your username and password. And they'll do everything in their power to get it. 81% of breaches are caused by credential theft. 40 million daily fraudulent sign-in attempts. You know, so they're trying. They're after our passwords. So we need to protect our passwords. And change them regularly. And I'll speak a little bit more about our passwords in a minute. As I mentioned, the weakest link, in many cases, not all cases, in most cases, people, you know. And for some organizations, it's both people and technology. So, you know, it's easy to go out and buy technology. It's easy to do that. We can spend the money on it. We can put it in. But like I said, it's a double-edged sword. The bad actors also can do the same thing. But I believe that we need to focus on our human firewalls, invest in staff education and our frontline staff. Everyone in an organization, everyone is a member of the security team. From the front line all the way to the executives, they should participate in this. We need to have real life exercise drill.
I don't remember it.
Tabletop discussions on these kind of topics and get everyone involved in security. All right, 10 ways to protect ourselves. How do we protect ourselves? And this can be individual, this can be with individuals within an organization. And this is where I spend my time in. How do I get my users? How do I get myself, my family to protect ourselves from hackers? And when we do this, that can spread into the workplace. So if we do it at home, if we encourage users to protect their bank account, you know, many folks don't care about PHI. They don't even know what PHI is, but they know very well about their personal health record. They know about their financials. And if we start getting the message out, you know what? Let me tell you how to protect your financial data. Let me tell you how to protect grandma's favorite recipe that's passed on from centuries to centuries. Let me teach you how to do that. And when we educate our users on that personal level, then that spill over into the workplace. And it makes the life of a CIO and CEO and all the C-suites and our security team a lot easier, because now our consumers, our users are more educated, and they can help us together and strengthen that chain. How do we do that? Well, there are 10 ways to do it, right? One is not better than the other, but here are 10 ways that I came up with that we ought to start thinking about with our users. First of all, we need to let our users know, hey, patch your devices, patch the iPhones. You know, sometimes we like that little emoji and we don't want to change it. No, change it, because the patches are important, because Apple and Samsung know about security breaches, and they want to send it out to you so you can patch your system. So patch your phone, patch your laptops, patch your mobile devices, patch. Don't wait. Malware, please get a malware on your machine. There are free malware. I always like to say, if you get it for free, one of these days you're gonna have to pay. Either pay now or pay later. I say spend the money, get yourself some nice antivirus software in your machine on all devices. Number three is your network in your home. Set up that 2 primary networks. You know, sometimes we don't do it. There's a reason why. Every network in your home has a guest and a primary. Use it. Use the guest for the kids, for gaming. Use primary for work. Because if the bad actors get into your primary, if they get into your guest, then they can get into your primary. So segment your home network. If you don't know how to do it, call your ISP. They'll show you how to do it. Easy. Sometimes we overlook this, and we have one flat network in our home. So when we teach our users about this concept, when it come to work, they go, "Hey, network guy, is your network flat or do you have multiple networks?" You know, so, and all of a sudden they participate in the solution with us. But we need to begin at home, set up your dual network. It comes in automatic, and call your ISP to help you do that. Encrypt your devices. You know, if a device is stolen or if it's lost, you know, the device is not worth much. You can go to Costco and get a PC for $500-600, maybe 800, but the data on there is valuable. Your personal information, that's what's the value. And so, yeah, the device is gone. You can go back and buy another device and go back to your offline backup, which is number 5, and bring your data back. Um, and and nowadays, you know, with your phone, everything you do is on the phone. So encrypt your phone. Put your passcode on there to protect your data on it. 6, social engineering. You know, be sensible about what you post on Facebook and what you post on YouTube and everywhere else. Just be careful. If you get a text message from your phone that says, "Honey, I forgot my password. Can you please text it to me?" You know, call if it's your child, your husband. Pick up the phone and say, "Hey, did you just text me about your?" Because sometimes your kid's phone, your spouse's phone can get compromised, and they can text you and say, "Hey, send me this information." Social engineering, we need to kind of stop and think a little bit more before we jump into it. If the principal from the school calls and go, "Hey, you know, we got little Johnny here, and Johnny needs such and such," verify, are you really the principal? So social engineering, I think it's a lot of work. Sometimes we get careless in this area, and we're free to pass out information. Two-factor authentication, we talked to, I spoke about a couple times already. What is two-factor authentication, right? 99.9% attacks can be blocked by MFA. When you see that, you gotta go, wait a minute, why don't I have MFA? What is MFA? MFA is two-level of authentication. It could be a password and a thumb. It can be a thumb and something else, but two-level of authentication. Everyone should have MFA on their financials account, on the medical record. It's a must. It's a must. So highly recommend it even for personal users as well as organizations. Go passwordless. You know, password is important. You know, I mean, let me go back to this one here. Strong password. Strong password is so important, right? They can guess your password in seconds now. They have machine language, they have AI, they can run through algorithm and figure out your password. So what do, right? We get lazy, and I'm guilty of this. You know, we go, "Hey, create a password." So what do? We go password. That's a pretty cool word. And then you go, "You know what? It needs to be longer. It needs to have a number in it." So what do? We go password 123. You go, "Okay, I'm good. Long enough, has a number in it." And then the security guy says, Lisa says, "Hey, you know what? It needs an uppercase." So what do? We put an uppercase P. I'm good. And they go, "You know what? You need to have a special character." So what do? We all know this. We all have done this. I've done this. We put an exclamation point at the end of it. And we kid ourselves that we have a strong password. Negative. That is not a strong password. It'll take seconds to figure it out. Change your password often. Some of you who are older may I love this image. You guys know this image? What's the password here? Open sesame. So please change your password regularly. You know, there is no rule how often you change your password. But if you believe you're compromised, if you've gone to Starbucks and you think your password is compromised, I would change it. And use a password manager. It's a tool out there. Many of us has multiple passwords. If you use a password manager, it helps you to not to remember passwords, not to write them down, and it changes regularly. So it's a great tool to have, and there are lots of tools out there that you can purchase for minimal cost to help you manage your password. Passwordless. Go passwordless. Take the leap and go, passwordless. Use biometric. On your phone, I think use biometric to authenticate the systems now is the way to go. It makes it a lot harder to access your systems or to be compromised. And if you couple the biometrics with single sign-on with a password to have multi-factor authentication, as I mentioned, 99.9% of breach will be avoided. So I would recommend wherever you can, whenever you can, go passwordless. It's a lot more secure than just password. And as I mentioned earlier, please use a password manager. And just to jump back into the organization setting, if you're a system admin and you're managing you're managing system passwords, a password manager is also a great tool to help you manage those credentials. So when people leave the organization, they're not leaving with your password. So it changes regularly, it changes frequently. It's a great tool, well worth the money on there. So my presentation today is really twofold. Protect your organization with a multi-level security protocols. And then more important than that is look to our users and ourselves to be more security minded and to follow these 10 things, these 10 what I call block and tackle. Nothing fancy here. Sometimes we focus on one and the other. We think we back up our systems so we're good. Not really. We think our device is encrypted, great, but we need more, and so on. So that's really my presentation today. That we protect healthcare by being more security conscious. I'm going to stop sharing here and see if anyone has any comments, any experiences they would like to share. What's working for you, maybe personally. Have you used a password manager? Maybe you've used a password manager like OnePass or LastPass. How's that working for you? Anything you can share with this group would be great. So I'm gonna open it up for discussion. We have about 5-10 minutes. Thoughts?
Hey, Roy, this is Victor Gonzalez.
Hi, Victor.
How you doing?
Wow.
You spoke earlier about the new wave of attacks coming against healthcare from either Russian-based hackers or any other groups. You've gone over a lot of the steps that you currently take in IT security. Are you taking additional steps because of that increase of possible attacks?
Yes. So it based on your organization, right? So last week there's a heightened attack with the Rook ransomware. I love saying that, Rook ransomware. Of course you have to be on alert, right? And so based on what your security posture is today, organizations are doing different things. It's a great question. And so we are actively monitoring attachments and links in external emails. I mean, literally hovering over them just to make sure that every link in an external email is safe and every attachment is safe. Of course, one or two is going to get through, but we have an entire team just on alert on this particular Rook ransomware. Some organizations are in better position than others. They have zero trust. So if you're an organization that has zero trust architecture where nothing is trusted, you know, nothing is implied trusted, then you watch everything. So you're a little ahead of the game. So you may not need to do what I'm doing today. You know, you're in a better place because you have that technology implemented. However, those security folks are hovering on social engineering just to make sure that calls are not, you know, the users are alert that that if someone sends a wire transfer or someone sends a link, they're double checking and triple checking it before they hit that send button, before they hit that click, that they're double checking. Great question. And so you got to pivot, Victor, based on, you know, this stuff is not going away though. This is going to be a new norm. You know, I think it's so profitable. I mean, what they're saying today is that a ransomware attack is, you know, plan about 10% of your annual revenue. It's a lot of money. So it's not. We're living desperate times. Desperate measures are taken by bad actors, and we need to be on alert. But there isn't one, you know, silver bullet, Victor, that you take. I'm just telling you, you have to do what we all know where our weaknesses are, you know, and you got to go there. You got to make sure your backup is offline. It's not part of your system. So if your system admin credentials are compromised, your backup is not also encrypted, right? Because your defense against ransomware is a good backup. You got to make sure you can recover. You know, you got to test. You got to, hey, can I recover from a backup, and make sure your backup isn't encrypted. I always go on the assumption, and I mean, this is a pretty pessimistic view. They're in my system. They're in my system now. I call it Operation SOAP. Save our ass, please, and just be on high alert. High alert. I mean, this, you know, this is what happened last week with Rauk ransomware is no different what happened in 9/11. You know, very similar measures are taken. We in IT are taking very drastic measures, and it's really inconvenient for users. You know, like, you know, we had airport security. We're doing the same thing. We're setting up security to monitor every single attachment, every single link. That is that's not fun for anybody, but that's the world we live in today.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, or I'd like to hear from your example, some of the vendors that are among us. What are you seeing in the out there? What are you seeing that are some good practices that other organizations?
Roy, this is John. I've got a question.
Okay, John.
What about encrypting the data itself? So once the data, you know, you're creating the data in through your operations, and so that, you know, if someone gets into your system, even if they get a hold of the data, they can't do anything with it. You know, what are you seeing and doing around that? How widespread? How it is?
I mean, that is given now, John. You know, encryption, whether it be a device level or the file level, we just do it now. I mean, we don't even ask, you know, questions about it. So for those folks, just real quickly, how I describe encryption. Encryption is like have a 2,000 word, encrypting a file, for example. It's like having a 2,000 word puzzle, and you mix it all up, and you don't have the picture to put it back together. It's not impossible. I mean, nothing is impossible. You can put it back together, but with the picture or the key, you can put it back together. So, you know, with health data being so valuable, right? I mean, health data that's so valuable, whether they're going for the health data to compromise high profile folks, or they're going for the data to sell it in the dark web, it's valuable. And so encrypting it, I mean, you just have to do it, John. You just you know, it's just the cost of doing business now. It's not a conversation we need to have. Should we encrypt or should we not encrypt? So our philosophy at HSC, we encrypt all devices, period. And for two reasons, right? One, if the device is stolen, it makes reporting a lot easier. You know, obviously you have to verify that your device is is or was encrypted. But encryption is key. Encryption is important. Anything else?
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? You know, one thing that I don't know if there are any vendors here, but does anybody have any experience with zero trust architecture? Is anybody using it? Thinking about using it? Yeah, zero trust is really gonna be also when we start looking at network. We need to talk. We need to think about or start including in conversation. Where can we include zero trust? You know, because before we would trust everything within a network, and we still do, right? And many of us here, if it's within a network, we trust it, right? We know from experience that's not the case. Not because you're in a network, not because you're a user in a network or your device in a network or your system in a network means you're trustworthy, right? We know that's not true anymore. It's never been true. And so we kind of have the sense, we have this false sense of security that if we protect the perimeter, if we spend our money on protecting the perimeter of our network, then all is well, and we can sleep well at night. We know that's not the case, because bad actors can come in around the perimeter. They can come in through phishing. They can come in. They can compromise through social engineering. They can come in, or even malicious employee. You know, so. But I would highly recommend go back when you go back to your office, look at zero trust architecture. I mean, I'm not going to mention any vendor because I'm not selling anything here, but the principle is valuable, and it's the new norm. It's going to be the new way we operate. And the cool thing about that is that if you have a network already, if you invest in a network, you don't have to rip and replace. You can gradually implement a zero trust architecture and have a 2-3 year plan to get there. But highly recommend you start thinking about starting that sooner than later. And also to the question that Victor asked, can we, do we do anything differently? Well, if you build it right, you can pivot or you can react and not be you can respond with a zero trust network rather than react like I'm doing today. I'm reacting. I'm reacting. If you guys, I use the analogy. I don't know if some of you are old enough, but the Ben-Hur. You guys remember the movie Ben-Hur with Charlton Heston when he was rowing the boat, and the guy would beat the drum and go battle speed and boom, 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 boom. Then he go ramming speed and go faster, faster, faster. So that's what I'm doing right now, and that's what most CIOs and CISOs are doing. We are just trying our hardest to get in front of the bad actors. And if they're nation sponsored, they have resources way more than I do, and so they're ahead of the game that way, and they have the technology already. And so what I'm left with, what I call my human firewalls, my customers. I'm left with them. They're my last line of defense, right? And so I invest in them, and the message is that you are part of the security team. We're all in this together. Any other thoughts, comments, experiences? Have anybody been affected by the latest ransomware that's been out? The Russian gang, has anyone? Nothing. None. Any?
Roy, I'm curious, do you know anybody, any of your peers or anybody that actually has had the ransomware, not necessarily that one, but some ransomware, and has actually paid the ransom and gotten access to their data or those kind of scenarios?
Yeah, I'm personally involved in 2 of them. One of them was California, where they called me in to help them remediate the ransomware. You don't want to pay, right? We never want to pay. So paying is really not something we want to do. But this organization that in California I was working with, they had no backup, zero. And the backup that they do have wasn't good enough. And so, we had to pay there. Not my neighbor, School of Law, SOL, if you read in the paper, they got ransomed. And I can't tell you any more than what's in the RNA news, but there's an example right here that they're ransomed. And it's every organization that I know of personally, healthcare systems or ransom, where peers of mine work, they had to pay. And the reason why, though, it's a good question. Healthcare, we have to pay, right? Because we have patients. Patients are gonna die. I mean, we have somebody. We need our EMR. We need our electronic medical record system to be up and running. It has to be up. We need the data. We need the medication. We need to interact with pharmacy. People's lives are in danger. Grandma, spouses, relatives are in a bed. We need the MRI machine. We need the ventilator to work. And with healthcare getting to the Internet of Things, we're vulnerable. And so, we like to think we don't want to pay, and in fact, we need to build our plan that we don't want to pay. But and that's the reason why you have to have cyber insurance, right? Sometimes we forget about insurance. We really need insurance, And my feeling is that the insurance will help you relieve the financial burden for the organization. Like I just said, they may ransom you as much as 10% of your annual earnings. That's a lot of money, So the insurance will help you with that. But once you pay the money, you still need to get the data. Once you get the money, you just have to get the data back, and there are no guarantees that when you pay the money, you'll get the data, right? These folks they're bad actors for a good reason. So yeah, you can pay the money, but you're at their mercy that they'll even give you the data back. I know of a situation in New Orleans where a system was ransomed. They did pay, but they did not release all of it, and they had to pay again. And what they're saying is that once you've been ransomed once, there's a good chance to be ransomed again, ransomed twice. So, but the takeaway though is that we build our systems in such a way that we do not want to pay. Paying is not the right thing to do, but sometimes you're left with no options. I don't know if you know of any I know personal cases where personal people with high asset that were ransomed. Because sometimes a person like Bill Gates, their net worth is a lot more than you and him. Apple's executives, Microsoft executives. So they are they're in the same boat that many of us are in. Many of the organizations are in, because they're worth billions, millions. So build our systems, build our security so that we don't have to pay, and start there. It's a tough question. I kind of danced around it, but any other thoughts? I got something in the chat. Let's see what I got in the chat. 10 for cyber. So I want to make sure I talk about cyber insurance and BAA, business associate agreement. We need both. So there's a system out there that I know a good friend of mine working. He had insurance, but his BAA was so poorly written that insurance didn't kick in. So you got to be real careful that your BAA is really tight, and who's liable if you're a breach. Is it a vendor or is it you? And so there are two types of insurance. Typically an insurance is about $10 million per vendor. So if you're doing business with a vendor, that's the magic number. There's nothing special about that. It's a good question. We're running out of time now, but that's a great question. But your insurance, you have your organization insurance that covers your organization. Then you have insurance with each vendor that you're doing business with, and they have an insurance with each one of them. It's called a covered entity, and typically that insurance is about 10 million. Now the question is, how about small vendors? Then they can subsidize, and there are ways around. You can still work with small vendors and still reach your $10 million insurance during as you do business with them. So I think you need to engage your legal folks in this kind of conversation. Yeah, ransomware is covered by cybersecurity. In fact, that's why you get them. But also the insurance company, that there are only 3 or 4. There are 3 or 4 in the country. You have to do certain things. Those 10 things that I mentioned in the list, you have to do at least 8 or 9 of those. They'll tell you for you to be covered. And if you don't have those things, then your premium goes up, right? If you have good controls, then your premium goes down. If your controls are poor, your premium goes up. So they'll come in and talk to you about, are you encrypting it? Are you have MFA? Do you have, are you patching it? What's your patching KPI? They'll look at all that, and then they'll give you, just like you would a Geico, they'll talk to you about all the accidents you have. And based on your security controls, your premium will be based on that. So if you poor security controls, high premium, good security controls, low premium. But it's a complicated topic, and you really want to get your insurance folks there. Hey, colleagues, my time is up. I need to let you go. I think John is giving me the signal, the doom doom. Thanks everyone. I hope you learned something today. It was great meeting y'all. And enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks so much, Roy. Appreciate it.
Bye.